Hello, I'm Coach Ron Wolfworth, and welcome to the Texas Baseball Ranch. And joining me here today is Gary Reinl and Randy Sullivan of the Florida Baseball Ranch. And we're here to be talking about the Marc Pro device and how we use it in both of our facilities. For me, specifically, at the Texas Baseball Ranch, we really focus on recovery and performance. So this has been a big tool for us because one of the differentiating factors in between becoming a college athlete, a Division I scholarship winner, or being drafted is your ability to recover, your ability to bounce back from one outing to the next. And not only that in a game, but also in your practice, in your training. The better that we are able to recover, the more successful our training has become. So for us, recovery is a critical part of performance. So Randy at the Florida Baseball Ranch really has a different take on recovery. And Randy, why don't you just tell everybody what that is?
Well, yeah, at the Florida Baseball Ranch, we are the recovery wing. We're the rehab wing of the Texas Baseball Ranch Consortium. And it's really important to understand that the essence of recovery with regard to arm health and durability is to evacuate injured cell tissues, get them out of the way, get your lymphatic system, reabsorb them, bring a bunch of good new guys in, and then organize them and tell them where to stand. The Marc Pro has been a wonderful device for us, really easy to use, and helps us do just that, helps us evacuate old debris that is there from the microscopic trauma that we endured during the outing, and it brings a lot of good blood flow in to bring the reparative cells into the area. So we use it a lot after every push day, after every throwing event. We have our guys on Marc Pro for quite some time. So Gary, why don't you tell us the specifics about how we actually use it, the mechanics of how the Marc Pro goes.
Well, thank you. I appreciate being here at the Texas Baseball Ranch. Okay, so today we're going to talk about how to get the best value out of the product. It's very important to understand some simple steps. There are 6 steps. The first step is to identify the area that you want to activate, that you want to recover. So in this case, we're going to do the forearm and the elbow area. Now we've identified the muscles in that area, and now we take a wipe and clean the area. Now the reason you're cleaning the area is very simply because if there is dirt on the skin, it's going to interfere with the signal of the machine, and it's not as comfortable, and you don't get as good a contraction from the stimulus. Now once you've got the area prepared, the next thing you do is attach the pads. Now attaching the pads is very simple. Of course, put the aloe on the skin, where you're going to put the pads. Then put the pads on and always aim the tail in the same direction for all the pads. The reason that you do that is so that they don't pull off. So we come like this. Basically, you're looking for the most dense area of the muscle you're trying to activate. Very simple idea. You don't get confused on that. Don't get crazy with anatomy. Just be simple about it. The most dense area of the muscle you're trying to activate. So if you're trying to activate the muscles of the forearm, you don't go over top of the elbow. Make it clearer to yourself. If you're trying to do the muscles in your thigh, you don't put it on your kneecap. You go to the most dense area of the muscle you're trying to activate. Now you just take the machine and you attach the pads, and then once you've attached the pads, the next thing to do, which is very important and often overlooked, by the way, this is one of those things where sometimes I can hardly believe what I witness. And here's what I mean by that. I had a Major League Baseball pitcher walk up to me in the locker room, and he came all the way across the room to tell me how great the machine was and how much he loved it. And his arm was flopping like this, coming across the room. And I said, "Stop, what are you doing?" He goes, "Oh, I love your machine." I said, "No, stop, really, turn it off. I don't want to be responsible for ruining your career. You don't want your arm flopping in the air like that. That's not good for you at all. We're trying to recover the muscle. This isn't some acrobatic cast." So what we do is we get the muscles that we're trying to stimulate completely relaxed. So in this case, we're going to go across like this, sitting on a nice soft pillow. The pillow will absorb the bounce each time, but now we make sure we're correct. So we turn the machine on, and you simply begin to introduce the energy. You see it starts to move. And now this is the most important step of the test. Okay? The test is, am I activating the muscles that I'm trying to recover? It's a yes or no. My point is, if you put it on your left hand, it won't help your right foot. So you got to get it in the right place. If you put the pads in the right place, you simply evaluate, you confirm in fact you're where you belong, so you ask the athlete, are the muscles activated that are tired and sore?
Yes.
Then you know you're in the right place. If he says no, you have him point and you accordingly move the pads. You see how simple this is? So now what we did was we identified the muscle, we prepared the area by cleaning it and putting aloe on. We then attached the pads. The next thing we did was stabilize the area, so we eliminated the tension and the pressure against the vessels in the area. So for example, we wouldn't want to be resting on the leg because it's too hard, or on the floor, or have it leaning on the table. And the reason for that is that compression causes pressure against the muscles, and then we have difficulty moving the waist. We're trying to move nourishment and waste. You can't move it very well if you're putting pressure against the muscles that are involved and the vessels that are involved. So now we determined, okay, in fact we are in the right place, so now we activate. And it's a very simple rule. It's use your brain, never cause pain. Now, an important point to make. Just because it hurts doesn't mean there's something wrong, but it might. So if I put this on and the athlete said to me, hey, this is really hurting me up here in the shoulder area, that's a good time to point that problem out, to that issue out to your trainer or your coach or your therapist, someone who's involved in taking care of your arm. To point out to them, hey, you know, when I activated the machine, something really hurt up in there. There might be some old scar tissue. There might be a little problem starting. You're catching a weak link before it becomes a big issue. So you can use the Marc Pro really as a diagnostic tool to find something you're not even complaining about yet. Now, if in fact there's nothing wrong, your therapist, your doctor, your trainer, your athletic trainer has told you, no, you're good to go, it's just the way you had your arm positioned. Now you just say, okay, let's reposition the arm. Let's just move it a little bit like this. Now how's it feel? Oh, it doesn't hurt anymore? That'd be perfect. If it's still hurt, you need to turn the intensity down and or move the pads. Never cause pain. Okay, it's a simple rule. Now, the big question then becomes, well, how strong should I make it? Because what happens in this process are three things. How long, how strong, and where do things belong? Okay, we have where things belong. We put the pads where they belong. We put the arm where they belong. We put the pillow where it belongs. We got that part taken care of. Now, how strong? Well, use your brain, never cause pain. The more fiber you attract, the less time it takes to accomplish a given task. So you understand what's happening here. We're trying to move nourishment and waste. The more fiber you attract, the stronger the contraction, the less time it takes to accomplish a given task. So if we were to turn this down like this, to where it's barely you can barely feel it, as the athlete can barely feel it, that'll take forever. If you take it to a much stronger contraction and it still feels comfortable, then we're good to go. Use your brain, never cause pain. Now that last one, how long? Well, I wish I could tell you in advance how long. No one can. So if anybody has told you, hey, do it for 15 minutes, do it for 20 minutes, that's not true. There's no such thing as a predetermined amount of time. We don't know how long it's going to take to recover. Simple idea for you. If you throw 20 pitches, it's going to take less time than if you threw 100. You get it? More damage, more issue, it's going to take longer. Here's what we do know now. At this point in time, as of today, there are 150 major league pitchers using the Marc Pro regularly, with another 50 or so using it occasionally. That's a real count. I actually emailed to the head trainers of all the major league teams. I got a count back from the trainers. This isn't hype. It isn't a story. It's the truth. And with that, there's about 150 colleges around the country also using it with their pitchers. Now, with all of that information that I have from all of the sources that I work with the elite athletes at the professional and the other elite level. That's all I do. Here's what we know. Most are doing it 30 to 45 minutes. Some are stretching it to an hour. Others are stretching it to 2 hours or more. It really depends on what you need and how efficient you are in recovery. If you're not efficient, it's going to take longer. If you have a lot of damage, it's going to take longer. You see how this works? I can't tell you in advance how long it's going to take. So don't look for a predetermined time. Look for this. You either went long enough or you didn't solve the problem. That's it. That's how long it takes. Rough guess, 30 to 45 minutes solves nearly everybody's issues. Up to an hour, 2 hours and beyond. That's what we know. You have to find your own numbers. Now, we then come to a point where we say, okay, now that I know where I'm going to put the pads, which muscles I'm going to activate, and get the skin prepared, clean it, put the aloe on, improve conductivity and remove the dirt from the area. Then I stop and I say, well, okay, I've done the big thing. I put the pads on. Everything looks good. I have the pads on now, and now I stabilize the area, so I eliminate the pressure on the muscles and the vessels and the tension against the muscles because of the arm flopping in the air. Now we know it's good. We tested it, made sure it's hitting the right muscles, it's doing it the right way. Now the next question we have is, how strong? Well, you got the rules. Use your brain, never cause pain. So that rule's in place. How long? You got to figure it out. Everybody's an individual. Now the last thing we want to talk about is a setting on the machine for pain control. Now that's on the Marc Pro Plus. Not everybody has the Plus. But if you have the Plus or you want the Plus, here's what you need to understand about pain. Don't just arbitrarily make pain go away. So it'll work. You set it on the high frequency for pain control, it'll make it stop hurting. I do not recommend that you ever use the pain control without the direction of a licensed practitioner who's given you solid advice on why you have pain and why you should use the pain control. If you use it, it'll work, but use it smartly. Okay, so now that you have the general directions of how to determine where the pads go, it doesn't matter if it's your forearm or your shoulder or your lower back area. It doesn't matter if it's your hips or your legs. It makes no difference. You figure out which muscles you're trying to activate, find the most dense area of those muscles, clean the area, put the aloe on, put the pads on, test it after you stabilize the area, after you eliminate that pressure against the vessels and the muscles and the tension. No flopping in the air is the point. Okay, now you understand, you don't need any detailed instructions, you just need to think things through. So you think it through, shoulder, elbow, low back, hips, wherever you're trying to put it, find the most dense area, get the body in a neutral position so your arm's not flapping in the air, your leg's not flapping in the air, whatever body part you're trying to activate. Now, with that said, it's very important to understand this. There is a manual that comes with the Marc Pro, and the manual will give you basic directions. So you've got pictures that you can look at in the manual to figure out roughly where things go. But honestly, if you follow the directions I just provided, you'll hardly ever need the manual. Thank you.